Hello everyone, it's Kathy Champion and you're back here on my YouTube channel, Kathy's Random Acts of Stampin'. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I'm located here in Gastonia, North Carolina. But I can take care of you no matter where you live because most of my business is done over the internet. So I do have a link that will take you to my online store. So if you're interested in purchasing any of the products that you see today, please feel free. And also, if you use my host code, which will pop in about here, you'll get a free gift from me if you spend $50 or more before shipping and tax. But if you have a big order and your order's $150 or over, please don't use the host code. I want you to get those Stampin' Rewards yourself. But if you are placing a $50 order or more, use the host code. And what that allows me to do is to have bigger and better gifts to give away to all of my customers. So I appreciate you using the host code. It helps me, but in turn, it also helps all of you who shop with me. With all that being said, I want to go ahead and get started on my card today. And we are going to be working with this Merriest Moments Bundle, or as I like to call it, a trundle, because it is a 3-part. You get your stamp set, which these stamps are absolutely gorgeous. I have been playing with these this morning, so some of them have come loose from the plastic, but this stamp set is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it has the best of everything. You've got beautiful sentiments with a beautiful font. You have got nice bold words like joy. You've got this little splattering that you can use for background or emphasis on something. You got 3 different size leaves. You have 2 sizes of your flower, so you can stack them and make them beautiful. You have holly berries, and then you've got these beautiful greeneries right here, and also the center for your little poinsettia. So this right here is just such a great stamp set on its own, but when you couple it with these beautiful dies, and it is a 2-part die set, you get these. Here's your poinsettias to cut out, one of your greeneries, it's beautiful framelit. And then you also get more of your little poinsettias, the bigger one, more of your cutting your greeneries out, your 3 different size leaves, and then you get this big background that kind of cuts everything, and I'll show you how to use that in just a moment. You also get this beautiful embossing folder, and this is called the Merriest Frames Hybrid. Anytime that one of our embossing folders is called a hybrid, it means it does double duty. You can actually fit this die inside, and it fits in on the side where there it goes. It just pops right in there on the side where your Stampin' Up! Is. And then you put your paper on it, and I tell you what, you know, they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let's go ahead and use 1,000 words. I'm going to open this up, and I want to cut this all out of just plain white cardstock. And the reason for that is I have pre-cut everything to show you, but I want to show you the components and how they work. It would have taken me way too long. This would have ended up being a 2-part, maybe even a 3-part video had I cut everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this piece of paper in half, like so. And we are going to cut, I'm going to use this whole piece. I'm going to show you why. For me, I found it much easier to put a large piece of paper in here because I measured this, and I even put on the back of it that this is a 6 by 4.5 inch frame. So what I like to do is just lay this in. I'm going to double check, make sure that die's in place, and it is. I was wiggling a little bit, so I wasn't sure if I had gotten that off. I'm going to lay that piece of white cardstock in there and fold this down. And now I'm going to run this through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I'm going to bring it over so that you can see me do this. So I'm just, oops, this is a dynamic embossing folder because we do have a lot going on in this folder. So what we need to do is just have our base plate, which is our #1 plate, And that's on this particular machine. Now, if you're using a different machine, you will have to figure out what your sandwich would be. But I'm using the number 4 specialty plate, and this is to be used with 3D embossing folders, and that's what this is. Usually any of your hybrids are 3D because they're the thicker ones. And we're just going to crank that through. And let's take that off. And I want you to look what this does. It takes and cuts out your, I'll tell you what, let's move this out of our way. I'm going to put that there. And let me get my plates back together so I can get those off of my desk. When you lift this out, this is what you have. And let me bring that up to the camera, and I'm hoping that you are catching the detail of this. It is stunning. But we can go one further, because not only does this do this, we have a detailed die, because like I said, we have like double duty dies in this set. I love, love, love these dies. They are so wonderful. But we have this one, and this one will actually fit, let's see, like this. I'll get my piece turned the right direction. This will fit over top of this, and you can actually feel it when it bumps into place, because everything just fits perfectly. Now I'm going to run this back through our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and let's run this out a little bit, get my sandwich going here in the right order. For doing a regular die cut, you are going to have a number 1 plate, which is your base, your number 2 plate, which is your die cut adapter. You're going to have a cut plate, which is a number 3, and you're going to have a top plate, which is also a number 3. So, and if you decide to purchase this machine, all of the plates that I've shown you, you get 2 number 3s, you get the number 2 adapter, the number 1 base plate, and you also get the specialty plate that you use for your 3D embossing folder. So you get everything with this machine that you need to do everything you want to do. So I think it's wonderful. So now we're just going to crank this through. Oops. Just like that. And let me show you what we're going to have now. This is going to give you even more detail, because you're going to pull that off, and then you're going to have everything cut out around this. And look at this little piece that comes off. Ta-da! And now you have this. Now, if you want to put it back through your embossing folder, you can, but I don't think it needs it. It looks absolutely gorgeous. The only thing you'll need to do is just take your pick tool and just poke out any of the excess pieces that are showing in here, just like that, like that. Little pieces right there. Just double checking to make sure I'm getting all of those excess pieces out. And now this is done, and look at that. I think this is like, I don't know, I just found this interesting. I don't know why, but I thought it was very interesting the way it cuts that whole little outside edges off, and all those little pieces on the inside, and I'm just scraping those off of my cut plate. So there we go. And I mean, who would have ever thought that you would have a die set and an embossing folder that would work together? I know we had one in the annual catalog, but it didn't do all of what this one does. Now you also have this piece that if you wanted to cut this window out, you could have left this in here and it would cut that window. But that's not what I did. I'm going to show you what I did. I just basically wanted to show you how this worked. I'll get this back on my magnetic sheet. And this here. And now I'm going to bring over all, this is the card that I've been showing y'all that I did. Let me straighten myself up here a little bit. I got a little cattywampus when I was using the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. But I thought the detail on this card was so beautiful, and I did this all with this set. And I love the way this turned out. But I wanted to do it in a different color to show you your possibilities. So what I did, and I want to give you all of the materials that I used first. And they are going to be a piece of our silver foil paper, a piece of Balmy Blue, a piece of Night of Navy, and a thick basic white. So I'm going to show you what I did with these pieces. So I'm going to bring over my pieces that I have stamped and die cut, and I did this in the Balmy Blue, and I used the Balmy Blue ink to stamp these out. So I went into my stamp set and I stamped out a couple of the poinsettias, the big ones, and a couple of the small ones. And I used the die to cut out of the Night of Navy those two little centers to go in the poinsettias, and when we put those together, that's going to make a lot more sense. I cut some of the little tiny poinsettias in both silver and the Balmy Blue. I did 3 or 4 of these sprigs, and also that little evergreen looking thing. Now I stamped every one of these in Balmy Blue, with the exception of these two, and I did these in Night of Navy, and I stamped off. So that's what that is. And my leaves, I did only the big leaves. I didn't do any of the smaller ones. I just did the larger ones. And I had a whole page. Let me show you what I had. Well, I should say a half a page. There's my little silver strip where I did my flowers off of, and those were just straight up die cutting. And here's my half a sheet where I did leaves and greenery and poinsettias and my little poinsettias and these that I had stamped. So I had fun with just cutting and doing all that. But I didn't want this video to take us forever to put this card together. So I went ahead and pre-cut, and I'm going to show you what I did. I took a piece of the silver and just ran this through the embossing folder and trimmed it down. So this piece measures 5 1/4 by 4. And I did cut this at a 4 1/2. What was my embossing folder? I cut it at a 6 by 4 1/2. So it was 6 inches this way and 4 1/2 this way. And then after I got it cut, I trimmed it down. So there is a little bit of the edge, you know, almost off of it, but I did that so that I could get all of the embossing on it and then decide after I did it what I needed to cut down. I found that easier. You may want to cut your paper the size you want it and then center it into your embossing folder. Totally your preference. Everybody needs to do what works for them. But anyway, that's how I did this piece. And then I cut that beautiful piece that I showed you here in the Night of Navy. And I thought, how stunning does that look on the silver? Isn't that pretty? And that's why I cut all of my flowers and greenery in the Balmy Blue, because I wanted it to make a beautiful appearance here. Then I took that little rectangle die that I showed you that went in the middle of this piece, and I cut this in white, and that's going to be for our sentiment, just like I did here. And we are going to go ahead and start building our card. I am going to put a piece of Night of Navy for my mat, and we are going to do the card base. No, wait a minute. I think I want to do this with my mat. Yeah, we're going to mat it in the Balmy Blue and then do our card out of the Night of Navy. So let's get our trimmer, and we are going to cut this cardstock down. Now I know that I want this to be just a hair bigger than this. So we established that this is 5 inches by 4 inches. So I'm going to go 5 1/4 by 4 1/4. So 5 1/4. 5 1/4. By 4 1/4. And this is going to give us a mat. I didn't do that right. What did I do? This piece is 5 and, this says 5 1/4. So this needs to be, I want to layer this, so we're probably going to need to cut this down a little bit. A little bit more. It's fine going this way, but this way, so I need this piece to be 5. Yeah, well, let's cut this down. This is measuring at 5 1/4. I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off of each side. The reason I'm doing it in 8ths is because that way you're getting even amount taken off of both sides. And I thought I had cut this down, but evidently in my haste to bring this to y'all, I had not got it cut down like I thought I had. So an 1/8 of an inch on this side, and I'm going to cut up. There we go. Now hopefully this will fit on this piece. And this is 4 1/4. Yep. So what I want to do when I put this down, I want this little empty corner to the top. And this is going to work on here now, just like that. Perfect. And then, like I said, this piece is going to come back over top of that, like that. And we're going to do a card base that is 5 1/2 out of the Night of Navy. 5 1/2. And we're going to score that at 4 1/4. And give that a nice score. And then I'm going to bring this to the side of my scoreboard, and I'm going to fold that over, not scoreboard, but trimmer. And I'm going to butt my edges so that they're perfectly flush. And we are going to take a bone folder. And I'm going to press this down. Just like that. And sometimes you have to train your paper. So that's what I'm doing, getting a nice crease on that. And there's our card base. And that was 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4, our traditional A2 size card. So now as we start to build our card, we're gonna mat this on here, and this mat is too big. Why is that mat too big? Okay. Evidently, I'm just not getting my cuts straight on here. So this is 4 4. Okay, this needs to go down to 4 1/8. Okay, 4 1/8. And let's see if this is 5 1/4. Probably should have done that 5 and. We're going to cut this piece again. I'm going to get another Balmy Blue. Oops, that's not it. I'm going to get another piece because I am not cutting that in the correct orientation. Thought I had another scrap, but I don't. I got Night of Navy over here, but I don't have my Balmy Blue. So I'm just going to grab a whole sheet, and I am going to cut this down to 5.5. Or do I want to do that 5 3/8? Let's do that 5 3/8. So 5, 1, 2, 3/8. And then here we're going to cut this at 4 1/8. So 4 1/8. Now this should give us exactly what we need, where we've got that tiny little border showing all the way around, just like that. And then this should fit on here, like so. You know what? I may have to cut that piece again. Let me go off and regroup. I think I'm going to recut that piece and I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back, and what I decided to do is I just went ahead and cut another piece of silver cardstock, and I cut this at 6 by 4.5. Remember, I had written on this folder that that's what this folder holds. So if we lay this in just like that, now we know we're going to have to cut that down because that's not going to fit, but it does fit perfectly inside this folder. So let's bring our machine back over, and I'm going to take off everything except my number 1 plate, and I'm going to lay that on, and we're going to grab that specialty plate, and we're going to put that over top, and we're going to crank this through. And I want to tell you, this machine is a dream to operate. The way the plates are made, they feed through without you ever having to shove or push or try to manipulate. So I think that is fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and put my machine back together in case we have to die cut something in a little bit. Hopefully we won't, but you know, I didn't think I was going to need to recut that piece, but hey, it's crafting and things happen. So now when we open this up and peel that off, this is what we have. Isn't that beautiful? So now what we need to do is decide how much of this we need to cut down to fit on this piece, which is 4 1/8. I think this is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. I think that's what this is. Let me grab my ruler so we can make sure that we got the measurements right on this. That is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So I need this piece to be 4 by 5 1/4. So we need 5 1/4 this way, and it looks like we can take a good amount off on this side, more than this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my trimmer up. I know that this needs to be cut down to 4 by 5 1/4. So right there is where that needs to be. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's 3/4. So I'm going to bring that back and maybe take a half. I'll tell you what, let's do a 1/4 on each side and see what that gets us. So there's a 1/4. And another 1/4. That would put us almost there. So I'm going to take another 1/4 off. Let's see where we're at now. This is going to give us, that's about 5 3/8. So we still need to take off about 1, 2, 3. We still need to take off about 1/8. And I think we can get 1/8 off of this side. So I'm going to put that in right about there and slice. And let's see if we're there now. 5 1/4. We are. So now we know that we need to cut this down to 4. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take a 1/4 inch off of here. That's why I think it helps if you if you make this piece bigger and then just cut it down to fit your mat. So let's see, 4. Okay, and I'm going to take another 1/4 inch off of there, and that should give us our 4. So now that should work. And we got these little sprigglies here, but I'm not going to keep those. Now this should work on here with that tiny bit of border all the way around, and it does beautifully. And then this is going to go on here, and then this is going to layer on here. And as you can see, this card is quite complex when you start putting all your pieces together, but it is a beautiful, beautiful card. Once you get everything together on it, oh my word. And I may even want to, oh, I don't know. No, I think I'm just going to stamp that in a pretty blue. I haven't decided which. I might use the Balmy Blue. I'm not sure yet. Let's get our other pieces back over and start building our card. So here's all of our little pieces, and I'm left everything here on this white piece so you can kind of watch me decorate it and put it together. So what I want to do is I want to work mainly on this, and I'm just going to lay this white piece in here. And I wonder, well, no, I really want to get these. Let's build our poinsettias first. So what I'm going to do in order to build these, I am going to take my mini glue dots and my take your pick tool, and I am going to take one of these, and I want to put it right in the center of the small one, like so. And I'm going to take that backer off, and then that's going to give me the opportunity to decide how I want this offset, and it just helps me to be able to see exactly what I'm doing there. So that poinsettia is ready to go, and I am going to grab some of my other dimensionals. Here we go. These are my bigger ones, or the regular size ones, and I'm going to put one of those in the bottom underneath there. That's ready. The only other thing I need to do is put that little dark blue in the middle. Isn't that gorgeous? Look how pretty that poinsettia looks with that little piece in the middle. Isn't that cute? So what we're going to do is, I think I'm just going to use some glue for that. Let's see, where is my glue? And all I'm going to do is just take and put just a dot of liquid glue right there. I'm going to use the putty end of my take your pick tool to pick that up and just set it. Alright, and I'm going to sit that over there and let it dry, and I'm going to go ahead and build my next one. Again, I'm going to take one of these little mini glue dots, and I don't know that I'm going to use both of these, but you know, even if I don't, we can always use it on another card, because I'm going to be making Christmas cards. I am going to take a break probably from some of the Christmas stuff and do some fall things. And also just some regular stuff out of the annual catalog, and then probably ramp back up around October with a lot more of the Christmas stuff. But I love the Christmas stuff. I think it's so pretty. So I'm going to go ahead, I got that built. I'm going to put that dot of glue right there in the middle. It doesn't take but just a tiny bit. And press that down, and I'm going to let that dry for just a moment. And while that's drying, I'm going to take a couple of my little holly leaves, and I want to glue those about like that. So I just want a tiny bit of glue on this side, and I'm going to overlap them about like that. And then let me grab the silicone craft mat, because I do not want to get glue on here. So here we go, just like that. And then I think I want to do the darker one. What do y'all think? Oh yeah, I like that darker one. I might need to make another one of those and do it dark. I really do like that. So the question is, do I want to pop this up on a glue dot? Or not a glue dot, but a mini dimensional. And I think I am. I mean, why not? So let's put that right there. Take that backer off. And then we are going to sit that right there on that holly leaf. And see, it makes it look like the berries have more dimension when they're like that. And we're going to decide exactly, you know, where we're going to put some of this stuff. Like maybe there. Something like that. And then we also have our little greeneries. And we can put some of these together like this. And maybe like that. I don't know. We'll set those down on there in just a minute and see how that's going to look. I want to get my bigger pieces down first, so I'm going to grab 2 more of my leaves. And again, I'm just going to overlap like that. Put some glue right here on this side. I like to hold my pieces together and then decide how I want to put them together. And then we can put this right here and stick these leaves up under it. Maybe something like that. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I love it. And we're going to take one of these silver ones and put it maybe right about there. And we also got some of these little ones, just the little blue ones. And this is how I like to do it. I like to kind of, you know, put some little different pieces around. I don't like that one. Maybe we can have a little bit of that coming out there. And maybe right there. Maybe we can put a flower there. Maybe the holly berries right there. What we don't want to do is cover this up where we can't see what we are stamping on here. So I'll tell you what, let's do. Let's go ahead and decide what we want to put on the front, and we're going to go ahead and stamp that. So let me grab my Stampin Pierce Mat, and we've got the sentiments that's in this one. A joyful Christmas to you and yours would be pretty. Let's see how that would look right there. Or do we want to do it in the center? And then we got room all the way around it to pull some of the leaves and things. I think that will work. A joyful Christmas to you and yours. I love that. Alright, I am going to do my best to get this nice and straight. So I'm going to pick that up on a block. And I think for the contrast, I'm going to do that in the Night of Navy. Now remember, when you stamp your ink, it's going to look darker when you first stamp it until it dries. So keep that in mind anytime that you're stamping, especially with a dark ink. Very, very nice. Now that will fade and it will come into its true color, but remember, it is Night of Navy, so it's going to be dark, but it will lighten up a little bit from that as it dries. All right, we got that done, and let me clean my stamp really quick. Just a little wipe on it, just to get some of that ink off of it. And I can put this one back in here, and we will decide what we want to do on the inside in just a moment. But for right now, let's get this on the middle of our card, and then we'll put everything, we can glue everything down from there. Now the question is, do we want to pop this up? And I'm not, and I'll tell you why. Because a lot of this stuff is going to be popped up, and I want it to sit, I want this to sit down so everything else can be under it. So we're going to just glue this straight down and just use some liquid glue on it. Just like this. Now let's go ahead and get a poinsettia right here. And what I want to do is make sure that my flowers are not covering my words. So let me pull this more over into the center. I'll get all of these off of that. And let's just work right here. And I'm hoping that's showing up good for y'all. I'm going to zoom you in just a little bit. And I can pull that down just a little bit more like that. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and put, I'm going to commit this flower to here. So I'm going to take that backer off, and I'm going to pull that up as close up to there as I can get it. And then I'm going to take two of my leaves, and I want these to come out right about there. So I'm going to use a dimensional on the back of this leaf, right about there. But I'm also going to put some glue on it because I don't want that leaf to come off. So I'll just, for a little extra assurance, I'm going to put that there, just like that. And you know, we might have, yeah, we do. I'm going to put this under it, under my piece, so that if glue oozes through these little crevices, it will go onto that mat and not onto my work surface. So now we have this piece right here, and I think what I want to do is put that there, and let's work a little bit of this greenery, or what should be greenery, but I did it in blue. I think what I'm going to do is put a little bit of that behind here, like this, and maybe this. That'll give us a little bit bigger spread. That's what I did on my other one, and it worked really well. So I think for this, I'm going to glue it straight down to the back of this piece. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue there, so enough so that I can catch these pieces, just like that. And then my other piece, like that. And that just gives you a little bit more of a spread on that side, and it helps to balance out what we got going on. Now the rest of it can just be, you know, a little sprig here with maybe a poinsettia, one of the tiny ones like that. So let's do that. Let's just put some glue and glue a little sprig down right there, and one of the little poinsettias on top of it. And I'm going to use the take your pick so I can get that right where I want it, which is there. And we can always do maybe one of the leaves on this corner with one of the flowers. And we might even want to do these like that. That'd be cute and kind of different. So I'm just going to take a little, oops, dropped my glue. I'm going to take a little dab of glue and put it right there in the center of that one. And then I'm going to pick up my poinsettia, the silver one, and I'm just going to offset it and set it right in the middle. Just like, isn't that cute? I like that. Oops, didn't stay glued. Probably didn't give it long enough. I'm impatient because I'm putting this together and I'm loving the way it's looking. So I'm going to put glue on the back of this, set this leaf into the glue, and then set everything down right there. And we still got to put this down, so smash that down really good so that it gets adhered. And now this one, I want to pop it up on dimensionals. So I can use a bigger one on the back of this because we've got plenty of room. So I'm just going to put one dimensional. Again, I'm going to do the same thing I did earlier. I'm going to put a little bit of glue there, So I really want to make sure that that's going to adhere. And I think that's beautiful just like it is. I don't know that we could put one right there. That's kind of cute. Yeah, let's do that. Let's put one more of these right about there. Alright, so now this is ready to go down onto our card. So I want to offset this because I want this whole thing to lift. So I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to put regular dimensionals and I'm going to put them on the corners of the middle where we have a nice flat area. And I'm going to put two in the middle, maybe one right there and one right here. Let's go ahead and get these lifted off. And now we can bring this back over. And I'm going to take that off because I want to just be looking at this piece and get everything lined up like I want it. Just, oops, come up just a hair. Come on, come on. No, don't stick yet. Don't stick yet. Come on, come on, come on. I wasn't ready for that. It said it was ready. So let's try that again. I want to make sure that I'm lining up as best I can. There we go. And then just press that down. Just like that. And if you feel like you need another dimensional, you can take one of the minis. And I'm going to take the backer off of it because I want it to be sticky when I slide it under here. And I'm going to put one right there just to give that a little bit more stability. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous? I love it in the blue. I wasn't sure and when I was cutting these pieces, but I wanted to do something that was totally the opposite of the other one. And I mean, for me, you cannot go wrong with silver and blue. So I'm going to put this directly down. We've got dimension on the back of this, so because we ran it through the embossing folder. So anytime I do that, I do like to use a liquid glue. So, and I'm going to be very generous with my glue. And now we are going to put this down. And remember, it's just a tiny little border all the way around. So we want to try to make sure that we're getting it perfectly lined up and adhered down. Oh, so pretty. So beautiful. I love it. So now we're ready to put this piece on the front of our card. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use liquid glue. And let's bring this over. And again, that little tiny border all the way around. And press. Now we're ready for our inside. We could use this. Oh my word. I am going to do something. I'm going rogue, y'all. Y'all know I like to go rogue. I am going to use this piece that I showed y'all how to cut earlier. And let me show you what I'm going to do. We're going to adhere that to this, and this is going to go inside of our card. Just like that. And then this piece is going to go over it. But I've got an idea. I am going to grab a piece of scrap paper, one of my grid sheets. Let me grab my blue I have a blending brush for my different color families, and this one I use for all of my blues. I may end up having to get another one for my lighter blues because I'm going to use the Night of Navy. And I don't want to go in dark. I want it to be very light and very subtle. But I'm going to tap, and I'm going to tap here, and I just want to put some color all around on these pieces. Love, love, love these blending brushes. They are fantastic. Oh, how pretty that's going to be. I love it already. And I think I am going to do just a tiny bit, let it come up around that frame. So that that frame gets a little bit of that dark blue look to it. Oh, and that's stunning. You know, I had no idea that I was going to do it like this when I started. So a lot of times when I bring something to y'all, I don't have everything completely planned out. And I think y'all seen that with my crafting. I'm going to bring that color all the way across. Because I just kind of create on the fly. When I got up to get my brush, I think I ran over top of Toby. He was behind my chair when I pushed it back, and I did not know it, but he's okay. Yeah, see, I'm going to put just a little bit of that in there, just for a little extra emphasis. Isn't that gorgeous? Love it. All right, so let's move that out of our way. I'm going to lay that brush there with it because I'll clean that off in a little bit. And this is my Night of Navy. So I want to put something in the middle, and A Wonderful Christmas to You and Yours. And I want it to be, let me look at some of the sentiments that I have in this one. I've got these are stamps that came back from last year. The Snowflake Wishes and the Poinsettia Petals, and I love May the Magic and Wonder bloom this holiday. I'm going to do that since we've got so much blooming going on. I think it's this one right here. Yeah. And I used this quite a bit last year, so I'm going to use that stamp set. So if any of you had that left over from last year, and if you don't, it's available this year, so it's in the regular annual catalog, so in case you didn't know that. So here is a stamp block. I'm going to pick that up. Let's ink it up in this beautiful Night of Navy. I'm going to stamp it up to the top. No, I'm not. I'm going to do a center. I really want to center this. And I forgot my mat, so I'm going to put a little extra pressure on it. Beautiful. Love it. And before we put that inside of our card, I think I'm going to come in and maybe put a couple of these little flowers. Oh, I think I need another silver one. I don't think I have another silver. Would be cute to have another silver down here at the bottom, don't you think? So where is my little scrap of silver that I had? I had just a little sprig. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and cut out another one of these, just for the simple reason I don't know that I want these. this doesn't accentuate this like the silver does. So I'm going to go in with the silver, and I may cut a couple of those. Where's the other one? Right here. Yeah, that die set gives you 2 of those, which is great. I think you could layer those up as well if you wanted to. They would layer beautifully. Okay. So this one didn't look like he wanted to come out, but you know what? We persuaded him that he's got to come out. If he wants to be on this beautiful card, you got to come out of the die. There we go. So I do think I'm going to put 1 here and maybe 2 up here. Oh no, I didn't have 2. Let's do... And did I have any more leaves? I'm pretty sure I did. I thought I did. We got the little berries. We could put those on here. Alright, let's glue these together. Silicone craft sheet. Put my dies back over here so I don't lose them. And again, let's get our liquid glue. Little dot of glue right. Oops, you know what? I got a clump, but that's okay. Clumps aren't always bad because if they clump on the outside, you can usually take those off fairly easy. And get your glue going again. And let's pick this up and we're going to offset it. Just like that. And yeah, I was almost positive that I do. I've got some little sprigs up here. I thought I had some stuff left over. I wasn't thinking I had used all of it. I did use quite a bit though, didn't I? Alright, here we go. So that one is going to go like that. So we're going to glue this together. So I'm going to put a little glue right there and set this flower down on it. And then we're going to take this and just tuck it up under it just a tiny little bit right there. And then we're going to glue all of this down because we don't want any more dimension on the inside of the card because we want our card to close. So I'm going to glue this straight down just like that. And the same with these. I'm going to put just a drop of glue on each one of these corners, and then we're just going to pick these up and set them right into that glue. And just give it a good press. And now we are ready to put the inside in our card. You know what? I think this is going to look prettier just like that than using this. Yep, I like that. Don't you think that's going to be gorgeous just on its own? I think so. So let's go ahead and get some glue And I'm going to glue it mostly right here in the middle. I want these edges to kind of not be completely glued down. I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue on it, but not a lot. Just enough to kind of hold it in place. So let's bring this over. And we're going to set that down right about there. Give it a good press. And there is our beautiful blue card. Oh my word, I love this. I think this card turned out spectacular. And I'll be honest with you, the camera does not do it justice. The camera does not do this card justice. It is gorgeous. So there are two cards made pretty much the same way with two different colors. Let me zoom y'all out just a little bit. I mean, they're both beautiful in their own right, but so different. I do want to put some bling on this one. So let's grab some rhinestones. And maybe some pearls. And I'm going to use my take your pick because I need to decide what jewels I want where. I don't know that it's going to show up that much on there. Maybe here it will show up. I think maybe we might do the pearl. I like to cut my my jewels off on the side. It just makes it easier for me. Let's see if this one, I think the pearl might look better on that silver. And we'll put this one right there because I definitely want bling on my card. You know, I got rid of my adhesive off of that, so I'm gonna have to find another glue dot. But we're gonna put one here. And I'm going to get another one of these tiny pearls to go here and here. And let's see if we can put just a tiny spot of glue. Get that turned back over. And let's do a little smidge of glue right here. Anytime you're putting down and you're putting your gems in glue, remember you just need a little tiny bit. Oh, come on. There we go. And I wonder if I want anything up in here. Maybe a bigger one. Right there. I love my bling, so y'all will always see me bling up my cards. Maybe one right there. I think that really did make a difference. This card is stunning. But I love the red one too, so you'll have to tell me which is your favorite. Everybody has a preference when it comes to Christmas and the colors that they like. You know, traditionally, this would be the card of choice. But for something just a little extra special, the silver and blue is absolutely gorgeous. So in the comments, let me know what you think. This was definitely a labor of love. And if you are interested in picking up this bundle, oh my word, what a wonderful bundle this would be for making your Christmas cards for this year. They are gorgeous. They are absolutely stunning. And you can make cards the same or different. There's our difference of our insides, and everything was done using this particular bundle. And remember, I like to call it a trundle because you are going to get the stamp set, the beautiful Mary Frames dies, along with the Merriest Frame Hybrid. So there you go. There is your 3 pieces that comes in this bundle, and what a deal that is. So if you're interested in picking this up, go over and hit it up on my store. You'll also see the number has popped in on during this video, so I tried my best to make it easy and give y'all order numbers. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you've enjoyed the making of this card as much as I have. It has been a labor of love. So as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is so worthy of our praise and our honor and our glory. So glorify him today. I love you all so much, and until we craft again, God bless and keep you. Bye-bye.